Okay, we're going to tie a fly here using no vise, just in hand. So, if you watch closely, I'll demonstrate a little bit of tying a steelhead fly. A little tinsel here. Half hitch. Cut off the excess. Couple of wraps. Now we're going to put the tail on. This is going to be called the steelhead abyss, or steelhead red abyss. Another half hitch. Okay. And someone asks me, why would you tie a steelhead fly into your hands without a vise? Well, call me crazy. Okay, so we're putting on some chenille now. Put a little half hitch in there. Run the thread all the way up towards the other part of the shank. Another half hitch. Okay. Now, we're going to wrap the chenille. Very carefully. While I'm doing this, before I tie it off, I would say that steelhead fishing, after all, particularly fly fishing, is really just an obsession. It's an addiction. And people can call it what it is, but it's quite the thrill when you hook a steelhead, especially on a fly rod. And of course, if you're tying flies, it just adds a little bit more mystique to the whole thing, simply for the fact that you're doing it on your own. You're creating something kind of beautiful, and you take it from there. So, I'm now wrapping the tinsel onto the chenille, and then we're going to tie off the chenille, or the tinsel. Wrap a couple wraps. Do your half hitch. And cut the excess off. So the only tools I'm using really here, while I'm tying this in my hand, is basically the scissors. Okay. So far, so good. Now, we're going to put a red hackle up top. Nice, long, flowing red hackle. And you could call this a saddle hackle, because certainly we're not tying a dry fly here. Half hitch over the top. Put another one in there. Boom. Now, we're going to wrap opposite direction. Three or four times. Maybe 5 or 6. We're going to go over the top of that. Cinch it down, wrap a couple times. Put another half hitch in there. And cut off the excess of that dude. It's not looking too bad. Okay. Now we're going to take some polar bear hair. We're going to go, or buck hair, goat hair, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you got to use. I'm going to clip off a nice little wing chunk. I'm going to strip a little bit of the long stuff off. And we're going to mount it right on the head here. Okay, here we go. Put a half hitch in here. Pull her tight. Clip off the excess. Now what we're going to do, going to wrap the head. Make the head all nice and neat as best we can. Put a half hitch. Now we're going to do the finish knot. Okay? Finish knot is multiple type half hitches. Watch. Okay. And then we're going to pull that loop with the other hand. Boom, all the way down. And there you go. A red abyss. And there's the other one. So there's your two hand tied in hand red abyss steelhead flies. Now, having done all that, didn't take long, a few minutes. Some people say steelheaders are fools. Some people say, stupid idiot that likes to stand in high deep, chest deep water might be freezing his nuts off. It's just an escape, really, from the daily discourse and the ho-hum of life. Perhaps steelheading is just downright antisocial. So say many wives and girlfriends. But those who know not the thrill know nothing of the magnificence of the fish, nor the reward of catching one, and the impact the entire scenario has upon one's soul. Most certainly, they know not the sound of the screaming reel, and the feel of the pulse of the fishing rod bent over like a weak willow. And every steelheader I've ever known carries these feelings with him to his grave, into the pea-gravel drifts of the great beyond. And so, yes, I'm hooked on steelheading, like many other fly fishermen and winter gear fishermen. I walk the same gravel bars my grandfather and father did. I see the same sunrises and sunsets. And at the end of the day, in the fading light, by God, I'm content, because I've been on the river once again. That's the end, my friends. That's the fisherman's life, the steelheader.